This video is a brief overview of the Library of Latin Texts. There are several ways to get to the Library of Latin Texts. Perhaps the easiest is to come to the MU Library's homepage, and in the Discovered MU box, search for Library of Latin Texts. When you do, it should be the first thing that pops up. Click one of the online access buttons, and you'll be connected to the database. Once you've connected to the Library of Latin Texts, you can shift between the various components by going up to the All Products tab and clicking that. The parts that we have access to are down at the bottom: the Library of Latin Texts Series A, Series B, the Database of Latin Dictionaries, the Dictionary of Medieval Latin from British sources, and also the cross-database search tool. I'm going to start by looking at the Database of Latin Dictionaries. I put a search term in the search box, Amicitia, and come up with results. Above are the various dictionaries the word appears in. Below that is the article from the first dictionary, and on the left-hand side is the lemma Amicitia. This will get me to all the forms of the word in the database. If I click the lemma, this screen will appear. On the right-hand side are the lemmatized forms of the word, and also links to the various parts of the database. I'm going to search for the lemmatized forms of the word in Series A. When I do that, it ports all the words into the search box, and now I can hit the search button below on the left-hand side. Here are my results. It's found the various forms of the word Amicitia in 6,441 sententii. To navigate through the results, it helps to understand the limits that the database uses. They are period, author, title, century, and clavis. Period limit brings up periods from antiquity to very recently, 1965. The author limit will bring up authors. If you type the name of the author and position at, you should be able to find them rather easily. Once you've selected an author, you will have a list of their works, and you can select the works. Finally, you can select by century if you choose. It starts with the 3rd century before Christ and goes up to 1965. Or if you know the clavis number, you can search that. Here we can see all the limits at the top of the screen. One more thing that you should know about that's very useful is the syntax button in the middle of the search box. When you click that, you'll get all the hints for doing Boolean operators as well as wildcards, truncation symbols that will give you everything that follows a root of a word. Here I'm going to run the same search for Amicitia, and I've used the truncation sign. I'll hit the search button at the bottom. Here you'll notice, however, that I have 5,600 results instead of my 6,400. The reason for this is it's not picking up the strange lemma forms where the Amicitia, the T has switched over to a C in later Latin. In the advanced search, you can set all your limits beforehand if you want, or you could just run a search on a word as I've done and then go through the limits. That's what these buttons on the left mean. Period will switch the period. By default, it gives you the earliest Latin first. To go to the next period, just click that and it will come up. Once you're in a period, you can scan through authors by hitting the author buttons. And once you get to an author, you can go through their titles very quickly by hitting the title buttons. Below, you'll notice there's also a search box. You can run a search in the distribution of word forms. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Or in the DLD, the Database of Latin Dictionaries. That's where we started. Another way to search the database is to use the quick search, and I've clicked that tab at the top. Here I could specify an author or work if I wanted to limit it to that. But here I'm just going to put in my word Amicitia, and I'm going to hit the checkbox, Include Similar. This is going to get the lemmatized forms. Then I'll run the search. As you can see from the results at the top, I have 6,441 sententii. This is the same number I got with the lemmatized form. It's displaying the results somewhat differently. What it gives me is the author with the greatest number of results, in this case Thomas Aquinas, and then goes down from there. On the left-hand side are century filters. If I want to see the 13th century, S13, I'll click that, And there's Thomas Aquinas. He's at the top again, but I can see all the other authors and the number of times they mention Amicitia. If I click the name of the author, I'll be taken to the author's works, and I can see how many times the word is used in each of his works. If you're looking for a phrase, the easiest thing to do is just put it into the full text search. I want to find out where the phrase ibam forte via sacra comes from. I'll put it in, run the search, and find immediately that it comes from Horace. The final feature I want to show you is the distribution of word forms. Here I'm going to do a general search for Amicitia, and I've truncated again so I'll get all the word forms. I've run the search, and it's given me the various word forms and telling me how many times it appears. If I click one of those word forms, I'm going to take Amicitia, which will give me the nominative and also the ablative. I can see how many times it appears in antiquity, in patristic literature, etc. If I click the button, then I'll be taken to those results. Thanks for watching, and if you need more help, contact the librarian for classics.